Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paramahansa Saraswati Shishimaz Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Jai Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Gaurana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mai Pranavadip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Govardhan Puja Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Before beginning with the verse on the board, we sing Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. And so Prabhupada in 1971, and it's so wonderful. Everything Prabhupada has said has been recorded, so it's just really wonderful. You can either read this or you can hear it. It's been recorded. It's the purport to Jai Radha Madhava. This was spoken by Prabhupada on July 20th, 1971. This is just a short section dealing with the Govardhan Leela. Because everything in our song, Jai Radha Madhava, is a tour of Braj. And it is Prabhupada's gift to us, this wonderful song. Of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's gift. That we have this wonderful song to evoke our connection with Braj. So here is the little section about Govardhan. And actually, this could be the whole class right here. When the inhabitants of Vrindavan were in danger because they stopped Indra Yagna and Indra became very angry, he sent very great powerful clouds and rained over Vrindavan incessantly for 7 days. So when the inhabitants became very much disturbed, Krishna, although he was only 7 years old boy, he saved them by lifting Govardhan Hill. So he taught Indradev, demigod, that stop your disturbance is, to stop your disturbance is the business of my little finger. That's all. With my little finger, I'll stop your big disturbance here. So he came down to his knees, that's Indra. These things you'll find in Krishna book. So as Gopi Jana Vallabha, his only business is how to protect Gopi Jana. So our Krishna consciousness movement is how to become one of the Gopi Jana. Then Krishna will save us from any danger, even by lifting a hill or mountain. Krishna is so kind and so powerful. When Krishna lifted the hill, he did not practice some yoga system, and that is God. Although he was a child, he was playing like a child, he was dealing like a child, but when there was need, he was manifesting as God. That is Krishna. And Prabhupada oftentimes would say, so he's an incarnation? Lift the hill. Just lift the hill with your little finger if you're an incarnation of God. So we see, 7-year-old boy, when it's necessary, he becomes God. So I'm going to, this is a verse that we're going to start with today, and we'll read this verse, which is Canto 10, Chapter 24, verse number 35. It's one of the last verses in the chapter. And it's an important verse because it's a declaration of Govardhan Hill being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada, I listened to a class that Prabhupada gave last night. It was the first Govardhan Puja class given on November 14th, 1966. That's 54 years ago now. And Prabhupada went verse by verse through this 24th chapter. Didn't quite get to the 35th verse. I think he got about to the 25th verse. And it was a long class. By Prabhupada's standards, it's about an hour. That's not counting the Jai Radha Madhava. It's a long class. And Prabhupada said, well, this is a very long discussion. 4 chapters. Actually, it's 4 chapters long, the whole story. We have chapter 24 where Krishna instigates the inhabitants of Braj to neglect Indra and worship Govardhan. Then we have Indra's fit in the next chapter, devastating rainfall on Vrindavan. That's 25. Then chapter 26 is entitled Wonderful Krishna, and that's where all the inhabitants of Vrindavan are trying to figure out how it was possible that Krishna did this. Of course, they know the Garga Muni said that, yes, occasionally when needed, Vishnu will manifest himself through Krishna, so they kind of rationalize it this way. But because they have this relationship with Krishna, he's an ordinary boy, he's our Krishna, they don't really fully get that. And then in 27, Indra really gets it. He realizes he has to pay obeisances. And he's so afraid that he's pushing Surabi in front of him. Krishna likes cows. He may not be mad at you. And that's where he gives Krishna the name Govinda. Of course, Govinda is his eternal name, but at least that's the manifestation of the pastime. So this is a verse from chapter 24, text number 35. And I'll read Prabhupada. The purport by Prabhupada's disciples is mostly Prabhupada's words from Krishna book, and then we'll read the tikas from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Krishnastvanyatama Rupam Gopa Vishrambanam Gataha Shailo Smriti Bhuvan Bhuvi Buri Balim Adad Brihad Vapahu Krishnastvanyatama Rupam Gopa Vishrambanam Gataha Shailo Smriti Bhuvan Bruhi Balim Adad Brihad Vapu Krishnastvanya Tamam Rupam Gopa Vishrambanam Gataha Shailo Smriti Bhuvan Buri Balim Adad Brihad Vapahu. Buri Balim Adad Brihad Vapahu. Krishna's Rupam Obanidam Nataha Yaneti Murvam Bruhi Malimadad Brihad Vapahu Krishna's Vapu Oba Vishrambanam Gataha Yanetimuram Bruhi Malim Yadan Yadan Yatahu. Krishna, Lord Krishna, two, and then Anyatamam, another, Rupam, transcendental form, Gopa Vishrambanam, for generating the faith of the cowherds. Gataha, assumed. Shailaha, the mountain. Asmi, I am. Iti, oh, I don't know. Bruvan, but it's not written here on mine. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Iti, these words. Misprint on my thing. Bruvan, saying. Buri, abundant. Balim, the offerings. Adat, he devoured. Brihatvapuhu, in his huge form. Krishna then assumed an unprecedented, huge form to instill faith in the cowherd men, declaring, I am Govardhan mountain. He ate the abundant offerings. Please repeat. Krishna then assumed an unprecedented, huge form to instill faith in the cowherd men, declaring, I am Govardhan mountain. He ate the abundant offerings. And purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, which includes mostly Prabhupada's, the first paragraph, Prabhupada's own words. In chapter 24 of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada writes, when everything was complete, Krishna assumed a great transcendental form and declared to the inhabitants of Vrindavan that he was himself Govardhan Hill, in order to convince the devotees that Govardhan Hill and Krishna are identical. Then Krishna began to eat all the food offered there. The identity of Krishna and Govardhan Hill is still honored, and great devotees take rocks from Govardhan Hill and worship them exactly as they worship the deity of Krishna in the temples. Devotees, therefore, collect small rocks or pebbles from Govardhan Hill and worship them at home, because this worship is as good as deity worship. In the second paragraph. Lord Krishna had induced the residents of Vrindavan to assume a significant risk on his behalf. He convinced them to neglect a sacrifice to what is, after all, the powerful government of the universe, and to worship a hill called Govardhan instead. The cowherd community did all this simply out of love for Krishna. And now, to convince them that their decision was correct, Lord Krishna appeared in an unprecedented, huge transcendental form and demonstrated that he himself was Govardhan Hill. And now to read from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami, short but very deep purports. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In order to show the superiority of the sacrifice instituted by himself and increase the faith of all those present, Krishna assumed the form of the deity of the hill. He assumed a form with all senses, rupam, which was like a second mountain resting on top of Govardhan, Anyatama. By this act, the cowherd men had faith that Krishna was identical to Govardhan, Gopa Vishvambranam. I am the Lord of this place. Being pleased with your devotion, I have appeared. Please ask for anything you desire. Saying this, he accepted the offerings, Bali, whether from far or near, offered by the inhabitants living in Nandagram indirectly through meditation, or by those present at Govardhan directly from as far off as hundreds of thousands of meters away, using long hands giving bliss to all present. He ate the food. And we actually have stories from Gopal Champu about how hands are flying everywhere, and it's very amazing. Now from Jiva Goswami, similar purport. Instilling their complete faith by showing the great superiority of this sacrifice over the Indra sacrifice, giving joy to the cowherds and Govardhan, the best of his servants, who accepted the offerings, using Govardhan as a pretext. By appearing on top of Govardhan, he directly enjoyed the offerings after they were offered. The word "to" indicates a new topic. The form is called most exceptional, anyattamam, since it took on many forms. This form took on many forms unseen by the cowherds in order to accomplish all actions and satisfy all the cowherds. It was also outstanding because of its size, Brihat Vaphu. Thus, this form was able to eat all of the many brewery offerings. Krishna ate with greed because of desire for the prem of the people of Gokula. Harivamsa says, Tam Gopa Paravatakaram Divya Shrug Anulepanam Giri Mridini Sitam Drishtva Rishtva Jagmu Pradannataha. Seeing the form of the mountain decorated with brilliant garlands and sandalwood on top of the mountain, the cowherds in joy approached it. Om Jnanatimrandasya Gyanan Gyanan Shalakaya Chakshu Umnikanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padai Krishna Pastai Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamanita Ramani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvasesa Shunyavadi Prasja Deshani Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The words of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the first sentence, deeply says everything we need to know. In order to show the superiority of the sacrifice instituted by himself and increase the faith of all those present, Krishna assumed the form of the deity of the hill. In this material world, everyone is faithless. We're afraid, we're disturbed, we're full of bad things, lust, anger, greed, avarice, envy. It's a miserable place, this material world. Dukali amashasvatam. Krishna says, temporary and miserable. So in order to increase our faith that there is another world, another true consciousness, Krishna manifests as Govardhan. And it says, right in the verse itself, as if they need it. We need it. They don't. Krishna then assumed an unprecedented, huge form to instill faith in the coward man. This is like Arjuna hearing Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna did not need to hear the Bhagavad Gita. But Arjuna became bewildered in order to present an opportunity for the Lord to present Bhagavad Gita, which is, as Prabhupada says, the ABCs of spiritual life. To know that we're not this body, that we're an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, that there is a supreme world where we can act in a relationship with Him, and that the Lord gives us all protection at all times. This is not something Arjuna needed to hear, but we need to hear. So this, of course, the inhabitants of Braj, they don't have any cares. They're eternally connected, totally in loving relationship with the Lord. But the Lord, using a pretext of denying Indra the worship that he thinks he deserves, sets up a situation in which his glory is shown, and it's shown how we need to honor, worship him, but at the same time, he's giving us everything. This giant form of the Supreme Lord in Govardhan, a form which we still can go to today and visit and worship, and in such a way also, as Prabhupada said, that the rocks can be taken and put in different places, so that in one sense we are living with Govardhan right here in our community. He's on the altar. So when we circumambulate the temple, it's like better than walking around the 26 miles. Well, you know, it's always good to walk around the 22 miles, whatever it is. And I have tried Bir Krishna Maharaj's a sock program. It's better than bare feet, but I really need shoes at this point. Because it used to be very, very sandy and very, it used to be mostly sand and mostly unpaved, but over the years it's become more and more paved. Back in the 80s, it was really much more rural than it is today. And I remember at least one time walking in bare feet in the winter, and it was really cold, but that's another issue. In any case, so we're hearing here from the Lord about his greatness, and how the inhabitants of Braj, they're given this opportunity to see, and it instills faith in them. And he's showing them that don't worship Indra, but worship me. So how does this all come about? Well, let's rewind the clock a little bit here in this chapter 24. This chapter 24 begins with Krishna coming back. He's been out and about. It's actually we're just ending chapter 21, and chapter 22 is the stealing of the gopis' clothes, and then chapter 23 is the story about the wives of the Vedic Brahmanas. So he's just been out adventures with his boyfriends, his gopas, and having lunch, and the Vedic Brahmins' wives giving them lunch. And that's a wonderful story. So he's coming back, and he sees his father, and his father's engaged in doing all this preparation, like we're getting ready for a festival. It's going to be a big festival, like here at the temple. When there's a big festival, there's a lot of stuff going on. Now, Krishna's seen this before, but it never really registered with him. But now he's a big boy. He's 7, and he comes back to his father and says, "What's going on, Dad? What is this?" I said, Nanda Baba's busy, and he's thinking, I just don't need to answer a lot of questions now. I got all this stuff I got to do. Why don't you go play? Okay, see ya. Okay, go someplace. No, but he's insistent. Krishna's insistent, and he starts speaking like a great philosopher. He says, "Well, what is this sacrifice we're getting ready for? Is it Vedic? Is it just a custom you've come up with? I mean, you're doing a lot of things here. It looks like it's quite a big event." And Nanda finally relents. He says, "Look, I'll tell you what we're doing. You see, we are cowherds, agriculturalists, and we're very much dependent on the rain, because without rain, I have 900,000 cows." Prabhupada in the class in 1966 was saying, Nanda Baba was a very rich man. He had 900,000 cows. I mean, that's like the population of Charlotte of cows. It's a lot of cows. So Prabhupada would say, and he needed the rain. I mean, it has to rain. Without rain, we can't live. And so Nanda Baba says, as civilized, good people, we worship those who give us this sustenance, the rain. So we're worshiping Indra. This is what we do. And it's not exactly Vedic, but we've been doing it for so long, so it practically is Vedic. It's part of our whole culture as cowherds. It's very important to do this. And he goes into some detail. Krishna's not impressed. And Krishna steps back and he starts to preach a sort of atheism, karma mimamsa philosophy. And karma mimamsa philosophy might really be best approached what we have today as scientism. Scientists, go to an NC State agricultural department where they're coming up with new ways to get greater yields of corn, and tell them, actually the most important thing to do is to worship a hill. You don't need to worship anybody. You need to worship a god, or you need to. They're going to say, you know what, you can take your rituals and just go do what you want to. We know what we need to do. That if we work hard, develop this science, and learn how to, do this with the crop and do that with the crop, and we just do our duty as scientists. This is what the Karma Mimamsa says. Krishna says, it is because of the karma alone that the living entities take their birth in a certain body, experience varieties of happiness and suffering in that body, and then give it up as the karma pertaining to it runs out. Thus it is karma alone that is our enemy, our friend, our guru, and our Lord, and Indra can do nothing to alter the happiness and distress of anyone, for everyone is tightly bound by his karmic reactions. We just have to work, do what we have to do our duty. Prabhupada gave the example in 1966. He said, so here in New York, if we want gas and electricity, we pay Con Edison. He said, that's what we do. You pay your bill. And that's you work, you make money, you pay your bill, and you get your gas and electricity. It does no good to go and bribe the man who works there, because we'll get it anyway if we just pay our bill. And he's using the example that Krishna is giving. Just pay your bill. Just do your duty. Don't bother bribing. Prabhupada was basically taking Indra down to a worker at Con Edison, who he's just, what does he do? What does he do? Turn the buttons on? If you pay your bill, he's got to do it anyway, because after all, you've paid your bill. And that's all there is, just paying your bill. Do your karma. It's all unimportant. Don't worship this Indra. He's basically useless. He pours rain on the ocean. Do they pay anything? No. It's pointless. You're wasting your time. He goes on to say, the material modes of goodness and passion and ignorance bring out about the creation, maintenance, and destruction of this world. The clouds are giving forth the rain when they are impelled by the mode of passion, and cowherds prosper by protecting cows. He says we should do something else. We shouldn't be doing this worship of Indra. And so he goes on to say, starting with verse number 14. Excuse me, got to get here. 10, 25, 24. And he speaks, and he says, that, Acts 24, my dear Father, our home is not in the cities or towns or the villages. Being forest dwellers, we live in the forest and on the hills. Therefore, he mentions three modes of sacrifice. The cows, the brahmanas, and Govardhan Hill. Let us worship them. We depend on the cows. Govardhan feeds the cows. And the brahmanas, they are always worshipable. Forget Indra. Worship the brahmanas, the cows, and Govardhan. And then he says, let there be different kinds of food to be cooked, from sweet rice to vegetable soups. Many kinds of fancy cakes, both baked and fried, should be prepared, and all the available milk products should be taken for this sacrifice. The brahmanas who are learned in the Vedic mantras must properly invoke the sacrificial fires. Then you should feed the priests with nicely prepared food and reward them with cows and other gifts. After giving the appropriate food to everyone else, including such fallen souls as dogs and dog-eaters, you should give grass to the cows and then present your respectful offerings to Govardhan Hill. After everyone has eaten to his full satisfaction, you should dress and decorate yourselves handsomely, smear your bodies with sandalwood paste, and then circumambulate the cows, the brahmanas, the sacrificial fires, and Govardhan Hill. This is my idea, O Father, and you may carry it out as it appeals to you. Such a sacrifice will be very dear to the cows, the brahmanas, and Govardhan Hill, and also to me. And they all love Krishna. Note, there's no mention of Indra anywhere here. You can feed all these people. Don't feed him. Don't give anything to Indra. He's cut out. Shukadeva Goswami said, Lord Krishna, who is himself powerful time, desired to destroy the false pride of Lord Indra. When Nanda and the other senior men of Vrindavan heard Krishna's statement, they accepted it, his words as proper. This is God. He's 7 years old. I mean, what's going on here? You have, a kid come in here. Well, I won't name one, but they say even someone older, like Ishvara. He comes in and commands, I command everyone to do this. We go, okay, sure, let's do it. It doesn't happen. He's God. It won't happen for Ishvara. I mean, we know, but what do they know? Krishna is our Lord, even though they don't know. They don't think that. The cowherd community then did all that Madhusudana had suggested. They arranged for the brahmanas to recite the auspicious Vedic mantras, and using the paraphernalia that had been intended for Indra's sacrifice, oh boy, they presented offerings to Govardhan Hill and the brahmanas with reverential respect. They also gave grass to the cows. Then placing the cows, bulls, and calves in front of them, they circumambulated Govardhan. As the beautifully ornamented cowherd ladies followed along, riding on wagons drawn by oxen, they sang the glories of Lord Krishna. Kirtan, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's the Hare Krishna movement. And their songs mingled with the brahmanas' chanting of benedictions. It's like a fire sacrifice here when we're singing mantras and they're singing the Brahma Samhita and the fire is going. This is a festival. Our festivals are little reflections of this. Then Krishna, while they're doing this, Krishna then assumed an unprecedented huge form to instill faith in the cowherd men, declaring, I am Govardhan mountain. He ate all the abundant offerings. Now, there's different ways this is seen. In the Bhagavatam, or in Krishna book, it's more or less described that the mountain itself kind of becomes Krishna. But if you read Gopal Champu, it's like Krishna, a form of Krishna above the mountain kind of manifests. He's huge, and he's got these arms that fly out all over the place. He's taking offerings here and offerings there, and he goes over to a lake and quaffs it down, and it's just like, special effects to get this one. It's just amazing. I mean, it's mind-blowing power, and is instilling all the love in the devotees there as they see their little Krishna. What is this? It's so amazing. Together with the people of Raj, the Lord bowed down to this form of Govardhan Hill, thus, in effect, offering obeisance to himself. Then he said, just see how this hill has appeared in person and bestowed mercy upon us. And the hill's still bestowing mercy on us because we can go there today. It's only 80 feet tall now. Been cursed by Pulasya Muni, another story at another time. One mustard seed less every day. Little down. So it's not like it was when it was 2 yojanas high, 16 miles, huge peak. But it's just as holy and just as amazing. Even geologists who don't have any faith in anything they can't explain the hill, really. It just is completely out of place. It doesn't, because Palastia Muni dropped it there. But anyway, that's another story. This Govardhan Hill, assuming any form he wishes, will kill any residents of the forest who neglect him. Therefore, let us pay our obeisances to him for the safety of ourselves and our cows. The members of the cowherd community, having thus been inspired by Lord Vasudev to properly execute the sacrifice to Govardhan Hill, the cows and the brahmanas returned with Lord Krishna to their village, Vraj. Unfortunately, meanwhile, in the heavenly planets, unfortunately for, not unfortunately, but he thought it was going to be unfortunately for them, Indra just loses it because he's not getting what he's supposed to get. What are they doing? I mean, it's like, what are they? He's like a mafia don, and he's got protection for people. And when you don't pay for protection, he sends out people to take care of you. Out to break their knees or something like that. Like these. I'm going to collect. So what does he do to collect? Well, he's angered, and he says that these people often get. He says that I'm the supreme controller, I'm the highest, and people often give up the pursuit of transcendental knowledge, the means of for self-realization, and imagine they can cross over the ocean of material existence by mundane fruit of sacrifices, like he thinks it's mundane to worship the hill. Similarly, these cowherd men have become intoxicated by pride and have offended me by taking shelter of an ignorant, ordinary child, Krishna. What does he not get? It's because he's completely covered over by his position. Then, to remove this supposed pride of the residents of Vraj, Indra sent the clouds known as Samvartaka. Now, the Samvartaka clouds are meant for the destruction at the end of the Yuga. And it's just like they're the end of the world clouds. And they're usually kept well chained up. But he let them loose. They didn't really want to go because they had more sense than him. But he said, don't worry, I'm right behind you with my elephant and clouds. And so they go off to do their dirty work. Understanding that this trouble was the work of, the cowherd men community was very disturbed by this, and they approached Krishna for shelter. So the cowherd community, they have no place to go. They're completely inundated by this horrible storm. Now, to get some idea how bad the storm is, perhaps some of you were there. I don't know anybody. I wasn't there, but I saw the YouTube video of this horrific hailstorm in Vrindavan a few years ago. It was incredible. In fact, a friend of ours, Mukundadat Prabhu, talked about how it killed cows, it smashed all windows of cars, it stripped the leaves off trees. He said it was so amazing, it was smashing windows. The blocks of ice were like the size of softballs. I saw it on video. It was like, whoa, this was worse. This was like worse. So what to do? The cowherd men and women addressed the Lord. Krishna, Krishna, O most fortunate one, please deliver the cows from the wrath of Indra. O Lord, you are so affectionate to your devotees, please save us also. Seeing the inhabitants of his Gokula rendered practically unconscious by the onslaught of hail and blasting wind, the Supreme Lord Hari understood that it was the work of angry Indra. Sri Krishna said to himself, because we have stopped his sacrifice, Indra has caused this unusually fierce, unseasonable rain together with terrible winds and hail. By my mystic power, I will completely counteract this disturbance caused by Indra. Demigods like Indra are proud of their opulence, and out of foolishness they falsely consider themselves the Lord of the universe. I will now destroy such ignorance. Since the demigods are endowed with the mode of goodness, the false pride of considering oneself the Lord should certainly not affect them. When I break the false pride of those bereft of goodness, my purpose is to bring them relief. In other words, he's going to bring him to his senses. So it goes on, having said this, Lord Krishna, who is Vishnu himself, picked up Govardhan Hill with one hand and held it aloft just as easily as a child holds up a mushroom. And it's interesting that it says, who is Vishnu himself, because it's the Vishnu potency within it. And in fact, in the purport, it talks about how by Yoga Maya, he's lifting this hill, but because it's not little Krishna who plays with the cowherd boys and dances with the gopis, but it's Vishnu in this case. I thought I was going to go an extra 15 minutes. I was told an extra 15 minutes. I think they're just making the offering, because yesterday I was told 15 extra minutes. Yes.